Hello, this is Corey Pritchard with True Financial Engineering, and I have my wife Bridgett here with me. And what we're going to do is just take a couple moments just to share a couple of things about the way that we use our life insurance policy. I actually will say this concept for most people, they probably never heard this before, but I actually bank with life insurance companies, right? So I'm really trying to suggest to others to consider that. Most people are okay with the idea of going to a traditional banking institution to put your money there and bank with them, but not really that comfortable with the idea of banking with life insurance. So what we're going to do is I would like for my wife to tell you a little bit about herself, and then I want her to share the benefits that she sees in having an index universal life insurance policy, and then I'll just kind of pick her brain a little bit just to see what else she has to say about it. So again, I'm Corey Pritchard. If you don't know me, I've been doing this for some time. I had this idea about being your own bank that started back in maybe 2012, and then kind of revised that and kind of cleaned it up and came to a point where now I see it as a storehouse of wealth, right? Not that the product itself, the life insurance policy, is a storehouse of wealth, but just my idea or concept is I'm looking for a place that I can actually have an active investment account where I'm accumulating money to be able to purposely, intentfully be able to actively invest, buy something low, right? And sell it low, actively invest sometime in the future. So right now, this is a place that I'm actually using as a storehouse of wealth, which is a life insurance policy. And my wife was going to tell you a little bit about herself. So Bridget, can you tell them a little bit about you?
Yep, I'm Bridget Pritchard. I'm Corey's wife. We have 3 kids, Ethan, Agnes, and Olive, and we have a dog named Scooby.
Forgot about Scooby.
I've been a teacher for 13 years, and then I went back to school to get my degree in leadership to be a principal. God had other plans, so I am an administrator in special education right now. I got kind of confused when you said bank with life insurance policy, but then I realized what he was talking about. So when he said bank with life insurance, he actually means using the life insurance policy as your own personal bank. I think it's awesome. And we've been doing it for a few years. I don't know the exact number of years, but I know the benefits are really great. Life insurance offers the ability to own and operate your own bank, so to speak. It's tax-free, so that's great because the government always has their hands in everybody's pocket. The fact that you can earn larger amounts of interest on the money that you put in your bank, way more than a regular bank, that's really neat. And the opportunity that it offers, just being able to go in your own backyard and borrow money from yourself, and then be able to pay that money back without any kind of penalty is phenomenal. So I appreciate that he, discovered this as an option for our family, because I couldn't see it any other way. Like, it just makes sense.
Awesome. And just to break down a couple of things as far as what she mentioned, as far as those benefits. Now, I didn't make this, right? There's nothing shady about it. Because of the way that the tax laws are made up, the IRS has already established this, is that you can actually have money that actually accumulates in a life insurance policy, a whole life policy. It actually can accumulate. And as those resources accumulate, then whatever gains are actually inside the policy, that you don't pay taxes on those. So just like she said, you don't have to report any tax, you don't have to pay any taxes on it. So it's a beautiful thing to have that happen. This banking idea, if you think about the purpose of the reason why we actually use a bank, for most of us, really all we need is a checking account, just to be honest, because we usually use a bank as a transaction, right, organization, a person that actually is responsible for helping me to be able to make financial transactions. So I put my money there, they give me a debit card or access to checks, and then all I'm doing is just transacting out, right? So if we're only using a bank for that, then it's a case where, you could use that. There's all types of online places that you could use something like that for. But in essence, the reason why banks started is because they wanted to draw in people's money, right? They wanted them to bring their gold and silver in that was sitting at home, sitting somewhere that they said is unsafe. And they said, we'll give you the safety and protection that you're looking for and can't get holding your gold by yourself. And if you allow us to protect your gold, we're going to pay you interest. So for whatever amount of gold that we're saving or holding and protecting for you, we're actually going to pay you interest on that gold. And the reason why they did that is because they knew that they wanted to actually allow themselves to be able to print something that's called a bank note, right? So what they would do is they loan out, and this is a whole bunch of stuff that she probably don't care too much about, but this is just the reality of it. So they loan out these bank notes. Why? Because they could loan them out and they could charge interest. So say if they had this person's gold and silver on hand, now they're able to issue a bank note. And if they were paying the person for their gold, maybe like 3%, then what they would do is they would issue that note or that loan out for 6%. So the bank would actually make the difference, right? Did that for decades. So for most people, you don't know that about the banking industry. So a savings account really doesn't make that big of a difference to you. But the reality is the purpose of the bank was for them to be able to allow this person to have safety and security to accumulate their resources, and they could earn interest, right? So again, for most of us, the way that we use a bank is usually with checking. But when we say, okay, now the real purpose of the bank was to be able to pay me interest, now you should say, for one, am I accumulating anything? It doesn't matter, right, if you're not accumulating anything. But if you are accumulating, which there are a number of people that are accumulating money, then are you getting 0.5% interest, right? 1% interest? You're like really starting to think about the purpose of the bank. If I'm not using it just for transactions and I'm expecting to put my money there because it's safe and they're supposed to pay me interest, that's where we should question. Is the banking institution the only place I should bank with, right? Or is it possible that I could actually earn a higher interest rate, still keep all my safety, but I can actually get more out of what I'm actually getting out of my partnership? That's the question that we have. So when she said something about becoming your own bank, then you say, wow, you mean to tell me that I could actually bank with a life insurance company? Yeah, you can actually overfund your life insurance policy, actually earn interest, higher interest than any bank is actually going to pay you. And the beauty is if you actually want to take a loan out, either for yourself to pay something, or if you want to actually loan it out to somebody else, the interest rates are good enough that you could actually do the same things they do. You could take a loan out at a low interest rate, charge a higher interest rate, and you can keep the difference, right? Not telling you to do that. I'm just saying that's what banks do. So that's the ability of something that you could do if you choose to. Again, that's being your own banker, right? Becoming your own banker. Interest rates, as she mentions, it does give you the potential to be able to earn higher interest rates. I mentioned that again, knowing that you could earn the interest rate, have it actually credited to your account, and not have to pay taxes on it, right? That's just the beauty of what they passed as far as tax law. You don't pay money on it as a loan. You don't pay anything as far as taxes on a loan that you take. Why? Because they don't charge you any taxes on loans, right? So just a powerful thing that she's sharing there. And one thing that she actually mentioned up there that she didn't say is actually opportunities provided, is what she says. She believes that there are some opportunities that are provided that maybe she feels like you wouldn't have in any other place. So can you explain what you mean about opportunities provided?
Just the opportunity to use your money when you need it. So if I have a storehouse or a life insurance account and I'm stacking my money into the savings aspect of it, right? I'm putting money away. Let's say I have $10,000, like we had talked about earlier, in my life insurance account that I can use. Corey he's the saver, I'm the spender. So his analogy would be if I pulled out $10,000 and bought a piece of property, and then I sold that property for $20,000. Now I have $20,000, and I can take my 10 that I borrowed, put it back in the life insurance policy, right? Because I borrowed it, and now I have $10,000 profit. For me, the analogy I like is if I got $10,000 in the bank, and I see a car that I want for $4,000, I could pull that out and I can buy the car. And I can make payments to myself, interest-free, right? Instead of paying 21%, 9%, whatever percent that the bank would charge me, there's no percent. And I don't have a penalty for pulling that money out. I'm just taking the money out of my savings, and it's still earning interest. And I'm going to buy my car, and then I'm going to make myself monthly payments to put that $4,000 back. So I think that's amazing.
Yes.
Where else can you do that?
Yeah, where else can you do that? So she said opportunities provided. So again, I look at it more on one side. She's looking at the other perspective. So the beauty is it's the same account and you use it any way you choose to. So the reality is if you would take a loan from a bank and pay 4%, 6% interest or whatever the interest that you would pay, then the reality is if you had that amount of money accumulated inside your life insurance policy, then you could actually take that loan. And as of right now, looks like you could actually take a loan at 0.5%. So the way that these policies are actually set up, you could take a loan from yourself at 0.5% in the first 10 years. From year 11 and moving forward, there's no interest. So you could actually take an interest-free loan for yourself. So imagine having $4,000 in the account, like she said, taking it out, purchasing a car, and then you're just paying yourself back an interest-free loan. Like it's just crazy even to think about. And what she said is that there's another option that you could have. All right. So another option is it's called a variable loan, where right now they've established the interest rate. I think it's around 4%. So if you take a loan from yourself, then the interest that they charge is 4%. But here's the reality. That money is still there. So what they do is they use my money as collateral, and then they loan me money. So the money is still inside the account. So if by chance the money is actually earning interest rate, say 8% interest rate, I'll give that example. They charge me 4%, but the market allows me to earn 8%. Then what happens is now I actually earn 4% interest, right? Because I'm going to pay them 4% interest. But then my money is actually earning 8%. So I actually keep 4%. I actually made money. It's crazy to think about. I mean, it's just totally, it doesn't happen any place I'm aware of outside of life insurance policy, where you can take money out and still earn money on money that's technically shouldn't be inside the account. But just the way that they work that out. So it's a pretty awesome thing. So thank you for sharing some different ways of looking at that. But again, the way I looked at it was in the scenario that you're making money. So somebody that doesn't understand the idea behind it, if someone gives you $20,000 and you spent $10,000, you didn't get $20,000. Sometimes that's what we think, right? I got $20,000. No, you didn't get $20,000. If you spent $10,000 to earn $20,000, and what you got was $10,000, right? Because you have to account for what you actually paid. But it's still a case where you want to know that you can actually take that out of your life insurance policy if it's available, use it to go make $10,000, and then you put the $10,000 back. Okay, what if you got more than that? It could be threefold, fourfold, right? Multiplying it by multiples, it's even better, even a better example. So just a wonderful thing. So thank you for sharing that. So one thing I do want to share before we're done with this segment is I wanted to ask, okay, so we have used these types of policies in multiple ways over the last years. And I myself can give a couple examples. It's more just just a fact about how we used it. But what I want to do is ask my wife to share emotionally, right? Feeling wise, like what does that actually do, being able to have access to an account like this and to be able to use it? How has that actually impacted you as far as your feelings?
Well, I know women, we have the need to feel safe and secure. So having that type of account where we're stacking our money and pushing it to the side, it's earning interest, right? So it's growing. And then knowing that we have access to it, it feels great. So the example that we were talking about was the fact that I just recently switched jobs. So in the midst of moving from one job to the next, you know, there's a cutoff in pay. Like the job's not going to pay you until you start the other job. Like they're only going to pay you until 2 weeks after you finish working for them. So just the ability to be able to have money in our account to kind of float us from one position to the next without having to go to the bank and apply for anything or rely on credit cards or family members or anything like that. Like that was really awesome because we didn't miss out on anything. Like everything just continued normal. We didn't skip a beat because the money was there. And even though we had to pull from it, we were still earning on it. And then being able to put it back without any kind of penalty was wonderful. So I felt safe mentally. Didn't stress out. It didn't cause me any anxiety. Like, it was just like a natural progression. So I appreciate that being put in place.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. I'm not going to ask many more questions. If my wife would like to offer anything else to you before we're done with this segment, then I would like for her to be able to do that. But the main thing that I wanted to make sure that I did today was just to offer an opportunity to bring in a different perspective. I myself get very excited about the opportunities that are available with these types of plans, right? So let me make sure I'm very clear about what I'm saying. Is that the storehouse of wealth is my philosophy, right? It's my idea. It's my approach. It's the way I view an investment account, right? So it could be any type of investment account that I believe gives me the benefits that I'm looking for to be able to allow me to be able to use it as an active investment account. That's my philosophy, right? It just so happens that as of right now, I haven't been able to find another program or another account that's actually able to give me everything that I want, that's better than an index universal life insurance policy. Does that mean that something's not better? I'm not saying that. I'm saying for me, in my research and my seeking, okay, because I'm always looking, I haven't found anything better, right? Not just in theory, right? I started out in theory in 2012, but since then, actually practically using, right, and actually using these accounts, still haven't found anything better, right? There's so many other benefits that I don't even talk about. It's like icing on the cake, right? There's other living benefits like long-term care, accelerated death benefit, right? There's all types of other stuff that I don't even mention. These are just icing on the cake. These are things that if by chance something were to happen in the future and you were disabled and couldn't work, there's money that could be paid out. If by chance that you were declared disabled, later on in life, come retirement age, and they had to put you in a nursing home, there's money that could be accessed. Right, there's all types of other wonderful benefits. So it's just a case where, for me, again, given everything that I've seen about in these policies, then I haven't found anything myself that's any better. So I wanted to make sure, again, I receive another perspective, because I believe that you deserve to have your money working much, much harder than it is. I don't want to beat on the banks too bad, but I'm saying to you, based on the purpose and intent that they were actually established, they are not doing at all what they used to do. They're not doing it, right? So it's just a case where with all the fees that they're getting and the high interest rates they're getting in loans, and the small amount that they're actually giving you to actually rent your money, right? Because that's what they're doing. They're just renting your money, right?
And you know what? They're not giving you anything back. So I know he talked about what does it feel like, but I know everyone has had this situation where something has happened and you need some excess money. Right. So in our case, so we bank with a certain entity. We'll call it Capital One, even though it's not. So say we've been banking with Capital One for 14 years, right? Credit score is pretty decent. We got a savings account. We got a checking account. We feed the savings account every month, and they see our transactions over the history of 14 years. So say we need a car loan or we want to buy a piece of property. Well, we have to go through the hassle of filling out the application. We got to make an appointment. We got to sit down with the bank officer, right? And they have to go through every scope and sequence of our life with a fine-tooth comb, right? Judgment. What does that feel like? And then to know after 14 years of being a customer to this bank, the bank officer takes the paperwork and shuffles them and says, "Sorry, Mrs. Pritchard, I'm not going to be able to help you." That sucks. It's a terrible feeling, right? Because you've been loyal to this bank. You got direct deposit, you got your check, you got their debit card in your little purse, and all they can say is, "Thanks for allowing us to use your money, but we're not going to be able to help you." So the life insurance policy, the IUL Index Universal, right?
Index Universal
is your own bank. And it's a way opportunity to take back control over your finances, right? So you should be putting money aside in some sort of way. And you should have a life insurance policy. But just being able to save cash, build it up, have the interest do what the interest is supposed to do, have it growing, and then knowing if you do need a car, or if you do want to buy an investment property, or if you want to take a vacation, right? That money's there and you don't have to ask permission to anyone. You don't have to sit down and let them look at your FICO score or tell you that as hard as you work, I'm sorry, but your efforts aren't good enough, so we can't give you your money. Thanks. And by the way, keep putting your direct deposit with our establishment every 2 weeks, right? So it just makes sense. And it's a life insurance policy for the duration of your life, right? So don't think of it as just a death benefit. It is that too. And if you get to use that, great, that money's not going to go to you anyway. But it's something that you can use for your life, and you can pass it down to your kids and they can use it. So really it's a win-win. There really is no reason why you shouldn't be saving money of your own self and having your own account where you have complete control over when you pull it out, when you put it in, right? So I just thought of that.
No, thank you. It's just wonderful. Again, that's the reason why you have another great perspective, because it's just stuff that you just forget about or don't see. And it's wonderful for you to bring something like that up. So with that being said, we're done with this segment. My plan is to be able to get my wife back in, to be able to do at least one other segment, maybe 2 segments. And if I can get more, I'll squeeze out as many as I can get. But as of right now, I'm thankful for this segment. I know for a truth that there are women that are listening to this, and I have a way of talking that may not be necessarily as clear as it should be. And I don't want me to be a hindrance to you having access to something like this. And I just don't want you to miss out on it. So it's a great chance to have a different way of communicating. Also men, right? It could be men that I'm trying to talk to, and maybe it just doesn't mean as much coming from me, but it seems like it does hit home and it actually means something with my wife actually saying something. So I would highly encourage that if you haven't already made some time to be able to look into what we're doing here with True Financial Engineering, I encourage you to do that. Go to the website. Right at the top of the website, you'll see a button that says Storehouse of Wealth. You can click there. It takes you to another page. It's information that's there about my own policy and how it's actually performed. Okay, you can see some other details there. Then if you still want more information, which I would say that you probably should after looking at that, then you can actually send an email. You can send an email to storehouseofwealth@gmail.com. If you send that email, you get an auto response. You don't have to worry about me talking to you, asking you questions, none of that. You get an auto response with a short video. It takes probably about 4 or 5 minutes of your time. If after that you're still interested, then you can fill a short survey out, and then it will qualify you to go to the next step. Okay, there's 3 videos total, okay, in that series. But all you're committing to is 4 or 5 minutes of the first video. Again, with that process, if you watched all 3 videos, you got all the information, okay? That's the main thing. And the biggest deal for me is not the investment account. It's not this storehouse of wealth. My biggest passion, I guess, is to make sure that I can give you the tools, provide the tools for you to actually begin to adopt a wealthy mindset, right? To begin to become wealthy on the inside. Why is this so important? Is because if I could actually fund an account and put $100,000 into the account and I could give it to you, you know what? I would. Here's the challenge. If I give that $100,000 to most people, it would be gone in probably within 3 to 6 months, right? For some people, it may last a year. And they wouldn't have anything to show for it but trinkets, right? That's the reality of it. But that same seed, right, that same amount of money that could be given to a person with a wealthy mindset is that person could have resources that could be duplicated and increased, and they could produce a stream of income, not just for their whole lifetime. The right-minded person with that same account, as they could have that account, that principal, that amount of money, produce an income throughout multiple generations. Think about that, right? And it's a difference of just ideas, right? And wisdom and understanding how resources work, right? It's the same $100 that comes into your hand, the same $100, whether you spend it on a dress or going out to eat, or if you actually use it as seed and allow it to be able to bring back a harvest and to be able to bring back increase, the same thing. But it doesn't matter until you yourself begin to change. So that's my biggest thing, is I really want to make sure for those people, not everybody want this, right? So if you do want it, then to make sure you have the tools that you need to be able to allow you to advance and mature as a steward, and to become better at dealing with wealth and knowing how to be able to steward wealth and knowing what does it mean to be rich. right? To actually operate as a rich person and to have that be sustained throughout multiple legacies is what we're looking to do. So again, this is just a tool that I use to try to help train, right? And to be able to monitor and engage what you're actually learning. But the main thing for me is to have you actually become wealthy, because that's the only way that you're going to actually maintain that. So with that being said, I'm done. Did you have any closing comments, anything you'd like to say?
Nope.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us. Again, check out that information, and I look forward to seeing you on another segment. Have a great day, and look forward to helping you retire into God's unique purpose.